Like, this is called the pesky report. Like,
welcome back to the Pesky Report, episode 551, presented by Beyond the Monster. I'm Jordan, joined by Isiah. Isiah, how you doing today?
Good, man. It's opening day tonight, and ready for some Sox.
Yeah, it's crazy to think that we're already here. We had the winter that kind of moved at a snail's pace, and then suddenly spring training went in the blink of an eye. And now we got some actual games to preview, an actual season to preview, and yeah, I'm right there with you with the excitement. Red Sox Reds to open the season will be today at the time of people listening to this. Obviously, in an hour is Yankees versus Giants, the official opening of the Major League Baseball season. Rafi Devers' first game against the Yankees, not in a Sox uniform. That's going to be interesting to see, for sure. But some of the final roster news had been announced since our last recording. We were talking last episode about some of the guys that we thought weren't going to make the team, and that included guys like Connolly Early and Peyton Tolley. We were half right. Peyton Tolley ended up getting optioned down to AAA Worcester, but Connolly Early making the team, and not only that, he's going to be the Game 3 starter. Isiah, what were your thoughts on Connolly Early getting the nod? Not even necessarily just for Game 3, but making the team outright out of camp in general.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting. I'm really happy for him. What a rise he had last year, and I was at the game in New York where we lost Game 3 in the playoffs. But it'll be interesting. I'm curious to see how he does, and then what the plan is once Suarez gets lengthened out between him and Oviedo. But no, I'm happy for him and excited to see how he does.
Yeah, and he was awesome in spring training overall. I mean, I know that there was that article that came out from Mike Mutnansky at Barstool calling the Red Sox out for not being willing to put him on the MLB roster because of money and like roster or service time manipulation. Ultimately speaking, he ended up pitching 17 innings in spring training and had a 1.59 ERA. He was awesome. He definitely deserved the opportunity. It was just kind of a matter of how they were going to deploy him, whether it was going to be as a long man to piggyback with Ranger Suarez, because I know they were really worried about his kind of ramp up. He's not looked good in camp at all. Oviedo as well, for the most part, has actually looked really good in camp, did not have a good final start, and he's kind of had a hard time, sustaining the velocity and command throughout his outings. So at least for now, the first couple trips to the rotation, or at least the first trip to the rotation, Connolly gets the start. Oviedo is going to be kind of that piggyback guy, likely paired with Suarez, but it'll be interesting to see kind of how they continue to deploy them. That, like the decision that they're ultimately going to have to make has been kind of kicked down the road, but it's fascinating to see the first one they went with.
Yeah. It's always interesting trying to decipher and determine like what to do with results during spring training, right? Like we've seen guys who've been terrible. I mean, David Ortiz was notorious for really not caring during spring training and then heating up once it warmed up. And then last year we kind of got to see that on the opposite end where we saw a lot of underlying just bad stuff coming out of Tanner Houck's arm and just kind of be like, oh, it's spring training. Hopefully they get it together, and obviously never came together for him. So I'm hoping, Suarez is an older guy, and he seemed pretty happy with where he was at by the end of his last spring training game. So I got trust, in him. We'll figure it out. And then, Crochet wasn't too hot this spring training, but it's always fun to figure out what lane you want to pick. Oh, should I be worried? Should I not be worried? These guys at the end of the day, they're professionals, and they have a lot better idea than we do. So,
yeah, last year I remember being fooled by Walker Buehler, and we're not too far removed from getting fooled by Corey Kluber. Like Corey Kluber earned an opening day start with how well he pitched in spring training in 2023, and we all know how that went. So it's I think when it comes to vets especially, I mean even with someone like Crochet who's not even a vet yet, like he was awesome in camp last year, obviously awesome in the regular season as well, but that was the kind of workload he's not been used to at the major league level yet. I think he eclipsed the 200 inning threshold. That was the first time he even come close to that mark. So maybe a little bit slower getting it together this spring. He talked about pitch selection being different. He's like, I'm throwing, sweepers for strikes. That's never something I want to do. I threw a bunch of changeups to Austin Riley, who homered off of him in Garrett's last start. He's just working on some things. And then, yeah, with someone like Ranger Suarez, he's not somebody who is an explosive pitcher. His stuff is very crafty, and he's very command oriented. And he's got one of the best changeups in baseball, and his breaking stuff is really nice. It's a matter of feel. And for somebody like him, if he's throwing 91, 92 miles an hour, that's not something I'm worried about. I'm worried about how his changeup's looking, how his curveball's looking. That's just going to take time. And going to the WBC, unfortunately, not having a very good tournament really held him back as far as his buildup. So now he's at he got through the fourth inning against Minnesota, got smoked, but he got through the fourth inning. So we're probably looking at, he'll be starting game 4 of the season.
I think Suarez is starting 5.
Is he starting 5? Because I know Suarez pitched yesterday, and then Bayo pitched a minor league game. I couldn't remember if it was yesterday or today. I don't know how they were lining those guys up. I know there's an off day mixed in, so I guess it really doesn't matter.
Nope, you are right. He's starting game 4. That's definitely what I just said 15 seconds ago.
But yeah, there's off days mixed in there anyway, so it gets a little jumbled up. But yeah, I'm not super worried about Ranger Suarez right now. For me, it's just a matter of how does his changeup look, how does his breaking ball look, and is he going to stay healthy? Because he's never done that before. You can always bake in a month of no Ranger Suarez, and obviously they paid him a lot of money, so they're hoping that trend gets bucked in 2026 and beyond.
Yeah, which is why him on this roster with our pitching depth actually makes a lot of sense. It's a roster that can afford to, if you have Ranger Suarez for 24 starts this year, you're telling me that I don't really need to worry because I got Sandoval, Crawford, Tolley, early that can fill in those starts, and then that's not even talking about guys like Bennett or Oberstein or whatever. So I think it's a good fit.
Yeah, it's crazy how we're not that far removed from. In 2022, when the infamous injury bug smoked the entire rotation, and it was Nick Pivetta, rookie Brian Bayo, and then we had Winkowski and Siebold in the rotation and a bullpen day. And now it's they have an embarrassment of riches in the rotation. Now Cutter and Sandoval aren't necessarily close to major league ready, but yeah, like you said, Bennett, Uberstein's down there. And yeah, and that's not even counting, some of the guys in the bullpen that can give multiple innings. Like Zach Kelly can give you 2-3 innings as an opener if you need him to. And I feel like I'm missing somebody obvious down there as well. They're just loaded in the pitching department, and it's good because their offense, as we've talked ad nauseum this offseason, how they're going to go about taking leads will be fascinating to watch, at least early on in this season. But yeah, in addition to the rotation, we got some other guys on the major league roster that ended up making it. Like Andrew Monasterio got on the roster over Nate Eaton. They're really loading up on utility infielders because IKF's obviously here. Monasterio, Marcelo Meyer officially made the opening day roster. I know that was kind of like a story that I never really thought was a story. I don't think anyone really thought that Marcelo wasn't going to make the team. It was just a matter of he's got to earn it. And I don't know. He didn't really have that great of a camp from a performance standpoint, but like you said, it's, in spring training, he did enough to make the team.
Yeah, it was cute. It was something that people could talk about, but I never once expected Meyer to not be on this roster.
Yeah, and it just wouldn't have made a whole lot of sense for them to not do anything really regarding the lineup except for Caleb Durbin, and then they're like, yeah, but Marcelo's not going to make the team, and Campbell's not going to make the team, and we're going to be rolling with an opening day lineup or an opening day infield of Caleb Durbin, Trevor Story, Isiah Connor-Falefa, and Willson Contreras. That would have been would have been very disappointing. Now that might be the lineup in Game 1 because obviously Andrew Abbott's starting for the Reds.
Yeah.
But we're expecting that when a righty comes in, that's going to be Marcelo Meyer at second base.
Did you see Cora's comments about the whole platoon with IKF and Meyer?
I did not. What did he say?
It was a couple days ago. I think it was their second to last spring training game, and he was talking about how they're pleased with Meyer or whatever, but was talking about how they're gonna use IKF against lefties, and that kind of sparked outrage on Red Sox Twitter, like, his splits suck, like. And then I think yesterday he was like, no, I just meant like IKF and Monastery, like we'll pick our spots, like.
Yeah, I cannot believe that they signed Isiah Kiner-Falefa. I'm like, still every time we talk about how this roster's built and how they're going to score runs, and then I'm like, you got to bake in a roster spot for Isiah Kiner-Falefa. I just don't. He's going to be a tough watch, and he had a good spring, but like, I don't know. I'm not going to be super impressed by his ground ball singles all early in the season. And they gave him $6 million. Like the amount of guys that get paid to hit lefties, like Rob Refsnyder, I think got $6 million with the Mariners, and
I mean
Miguel Andujar got $4 million with the Padres, and you gave IKF $6 million, and he can't even hit lefties.
Yeah. Or think about we traded David Sandlin to save $4 million for Jordan Hicks, and then gave IKF $6 million. So
yeah,
whatever. Choose your poison, I guess. But I'm glad Hicks is off the roster. But could you use the $6 million a little bit more efficiently? Not my money.
Yeah, I mean, especially if we're talking about saving $4 million on Jordan Hicks, and Miguel Andujar got $4 million from San Diego. I mean, I'm not gonna be, I'm not heartbroken Miguel Andujar's not on my baseball team, but like just thinking you gave $6 million to IKF versus $4 million to Andujar. Just
do you remember what Rob Refsnyder got? Was it like?
I thought it was 6. I thought it was 6, but I could be wrong. I'll double check that right now. But man, it's crazy to think like. Obviously, they have too many outfielders. That's not like the hot take of the season. But the one guy that they're kind of going to miss, Rob got 6.25.
Yeah, that's crazy.
But like that's the one guy that they're going to miss because all their outfielders are left-handed, and I know they want to play Durant against lefties all the time, and they want to play Willier against lefties all the time, and Ceddanne is obviously going to play every day, and Roman's going to play every single day, God willing. But like I don't know, you're gonna have a hard time scoring runs at least early in the season, and like a dude who is literally a top 5 right-hander against lefty pitching, and you're like, no, we'd rather have Isiah Kiner-Falefa to play a position like Andrew Monasterio could play or Nate Eaton could play in a pinch. It's just strange to me. I will never understand
us doing the Red Sox season preview and already talking about Rob Refsnyder 12 minutes into the episode.
It wouldn't be me without talking about Rob Refsnyder in a very positive light. I only did this for the last 3 years. I think I wrote an article every single season of Rob Refsnyder's Red Sox career saying he needed to play more. My like not so hot take is I think that they're going to trade for him at some point this season.
Pull the good old Doug Marabelli and get him on a limo, whatever, to the game.
Yeah, he's going to be getting dressed for the game. He's going to show up like 5 minutes before first pitch. He's going to be back to clean up.
The IKF plus package for for Rob's going to hit like crack. Yeah,
the IKF and Jake Bennett for Rob Refsnyder. On July 22nd, you heard it here first. Rob Refsnyder will be back in Boston.
I like that.
They're so weird about their guys. We talked about this again the last episode we did with like their outfield situation. They have too many outfielders. We already know this, and then it's like you got to put all these guys. You have four guys for 3 outfield spots, and then you have the DH spot, which is going to go to Duran most of the time. But you also got to get Yoshida into the mix. And we talk about Yoshida, and we're like, he's a DH, so he's not going to play the outfield. And the Red Sox were like, no. Yoshida's an outfielder too. So it's like now we're adding a 5th outfielder to the mix. And I don't know. it's weird. It's weird how they've gone about this whole thing, and it's like almost like they're building the roster to injury proof themselves. But then it's like, the only way Masataka Yoshida is even remotely valuable to this roster is if he's playing pretty much every single day, and the only way he's going to do that is if somebody gets hurt. And I don't want to be rooting on somebody to get hurt so Masa can play and be worth anything to this roster other than just as a vibes guy.
Yeah, no, it's definitely been a strange roster construction. Then that's not even mentioning that you have Casas and Campbell, down in AAA, and I know they probably want to give Campbell plenty of time to get comfortable, and Casas coming back from injury, but it just seems like, and I'm not a GM, so I don't want to act like I know better than Craig here, but it seems like almost every outlet they just wanted to play it safe and focus on raising the floor of the team, which is great. It feels definitely like a playoff team, but I just wish they'd taken some different, more swings, a couple spots, and maybe raise the ceiling a bit more. But
yeah, it's just you look at how Craig operates when it comes to the pitching staff, and he's obviously he was a pitcher for 12 years in the major level, 15 years in the major league level, so he knows pitching. That's not I will never question his knowledge of identifying pitching talent. But it doesn't seem like he has the same kind of conviction when it comes to the lineup. I think Willson Contreras is going to be great, and I absolutely love that trade. I know that everyone wanted Pete Alonso. I was never on that bandwagon. I'm not just altering my opinion because that's the path that was chosen by Craig Breslow. But yeah, what were they so against? Eugenio Suarez got a 1-year deal with Cincinnati. You didn't want that kind of pop in the lineup. You traded for Caleb Durbin, which we'll see how that is. I know he's endeared himself very well to the fans, and now he took Vaughn Grissom's number, so we can forget about him even more. But yeah, it's just the lineup's really weird. I'm really that's my real concern going into the season. I think they're going to do a great job of preventing runs. It's just how the hell are they going to take the lead at some point? Because as much as we are the day one Trevor Story stands, we've never once altered our opinion of him in a negative light. I don't know how I feel about him hitting second in a major league lineup for a long period of time. You're really kind of hoping somebody else steps up and Trevor can fall down to the 5 or 6 hole, and we can roll with it that way. But I don't know how that's going to work. Roman, Trevor Story, and Jaron Duran. You're banking on Trev at least being what he was last year, and Duran improving on last year. Meanwhile, they're both. Duran's gonna be 30 in a couple months. Trevor's already 33, so they're not in a great position to make that to assume that they're going to actually be able to do that. But I guess we'll see. That's kind of what the grind of 162 is all about. Nobody thought Trevor was going to play 155 games last year, but he did it, and he was pretty good for the most part, other than May. But we'll see.
yeah, for sure. I remember that month very well.
The month was not fun. It was not a fun month. I was very sad watching Trevor Story play baseball last May, or whatever he wanted to call what he was doing. That was a mess.
Yeah.
That was a mess. But how do you feel about the lineup overall? I know that it's not going to look the same as we've seen in years past, but we're talking about guys that we think could step up in a big way this year. We feel pretty comfortable about the pitching staff, but is there anybody in the lineup specifically that you are looking at and you're like they're primed for a big season? What it could be somebody that's already had one, could be somebody that hasn't yet. Or what are you thinking about as far as guys who could step up this season?
Oh man, it is an interesting lineup. It's very non-traditional Red Sox lineup, where you got your big boy sluggers in the middle and you kind of build around them. It's very much more trying to get this train moving and kind of keep it rolling with each at bat. And I like a lot of the core of the lineup. It just, and you guys probably talked about it all offseason, but it just feels like you're that one guy that you can slot into the 2 hole right behind Anthony, away from being an elite lineup. But that being said, I still like it. I think Contreras is going to do great here. I like that pull swing at Fenway. I think WC40 is just you can't be bad with a nickname like that.
No.
It's gotta be successful. I'm really excited to see what Meyer does this year. I really like he has such a high floor based on how good he is defensively, and I know that he didn't swing the bat great last year, but with his good chase rate in spring training and like what he's done in the minors, he's got a great swing and a swing that really can provide some pop. So if he can if he can give you 25 home runs and play some great defense, I know it feels like it's asking a bit much, but like it is possible, and I think that could be like really important to like plug in like that 6-7 hole and really keep the train going. Because I mean, is Narvaez hitting 8 or is he hitting 9? I don't know what they're doing with him and Rafaela, but if they can just like you get a guy or two on when Anthony comes back to the top of the lineup, it be a pretty well-oiled machine. So.
Yeah, I hear you. I hear you on Marcelo. The big thing for him, and like similar, we brought it up with Ranger Suarez, is he just doesn't play a whole lot of baseball over the course of the year. Like he's going to miss some time, and maybe by platooning him, you're going to protect him a little bit more. I mean, he had a good first month in the major leagues, and the second month he really kind of sputtered, and he was starting to show signs of coming out of it, and then he got hurt, which is kind of his big thing. But like in 2024, when he got to Double-A, he played 77 games. That's a career high for him at any level. Yes, he played 91 games in 2022 professionally, but at any level, 77 is the most he's played in a single season in 2024. He had a 140 WRC plus. I'm not expecting him to do anywhere close to that. Can you get me to 110? And last year he had an 80. He had an 80 flat with 4 home runs. But I'm with you. If he can get you to, even if it's 15 home runs with plus defense at second base, up the middle is Trevor. Story really kind of fell apart last year off defensively up the middle. If Marcelo can provide a little bit of stability, like I remember last year, Trevor came out of the gate horrendous metrically at shortstop, and he kind of stabilized in the middle part of the season with Meyer playing alongside him, whether it be at third or second. But Trev had to cover so much ground up the middle because Christian couldn't move to his right at second base at all. And then you had to deal with Bregman getting hurt as well. So that was not fun for him. So if you have Durbin and Meyer at, kind of flanking Trev, maybe he has a little bit more of a stable defensive season at short. And then, Marcelo can give you 15 home runs. I mean, power is like the big thing with this team. It's like if they don't hit any home runs, which is what projection models feel very strongly that they're not going to be a very powerful lineup. I don't know how they're going to score a whole lot of runs this season. Like Trevor Story, if he leads the team with 17 home runs, something went horribly wrong.
Yeah, it does feel like you got 6 guys. It feels like you're like, oh yeah, they can hit 20 home runs, but those same 6 guys, you can also see them not, hitting 20 home runs. Like there is some variance with those guys. Like, for sure.
Yeah, because I think Roman, like they had 5 or 6 guys projected to hit at least 16. Like Willier, Roman, Contreras. I think Duran was projected 16. Trevor was projected 16, and I think there was one more that was also projected that many, but I can't remember off the top of my head. And I could see like you said, any of those guys popping for 20 to 25. Roman especially. Durant's had a monster camp from a power standpoint. I could totally see this being like his 2011 Ellsbury year, where like all those deep fly balls just end up in the first row. When he's got the kind of power, he's got that kind of swing where he kind of gets that top spin line drive going. And Ellsbury in 2011, you watch his highlight tape, all those home runs he was hitting were like first row, second row of the bleachers. Duran has a few more of those that in any other year are deep flyouts or off the wall. I could totally see him running into 25 to 30 home runs this season. But like you said, ton of variance with this.
Rafaela could hit 8. He could hit 20. I don't know.
Yeah, Ceddanne could hit. He could finish with any total this season. I would not be surprised.
Yeah.
Finish with 2. Could finish with 30. I'll be like, yep, that's Ceddanne for you.
That's him. Yeah.
That's about right. Well, yeah, we just talked a little bit about, or I want to give another guy a shout as far as somebody I think could step up. I think this could be a really monster year for Willier Abreu. It's again about health. That's the kind of the catch-22 with everybody in this lineup. But Willier last year, we were talking in mid-May, well, this dude hitting 30 to 35 home runs. I mean, obviously he had the injury in Yankee Stadium. He missed several weeks, and then he came back, and then he hurt his calf at the end of the season. I don't remember how many he finished with. I think it was like around 20, maybe it was 18. But again, we were not early in the year. We were talking about him being a guy who could hit 30 home runs. How many finished with 22 last season? He's totally a guy I could see popping for 30. And if he leads the team in home runs, I don't think that's necessarily going to be a bad thing for the Red Sox. It's probably more indicative of him having a breakout season. He's going to get more opportunities. He's going to face more lefties. I think big season for Meyer. I saw someone mention that they think Caleb Durbin's going to hit 20 home runs. Please remove that thought from your brain. If that happens, I'll eat a shoe. And now it's on video. I said that earlier to my buddy. If that happens, now it's on video.
It could be one of those guys though that has a decent slug, like hitting doubles off the green monster. I could see that. I don't see a lot of home runs. I could see him doing well with doubles at home.
Yeah, I could see him finishing with like 40, 45 doubles and like 9 homers, 12 homers. I know I think he finished with 15 last year. I don't know how that happened. Like, I just don't believe it. Like, it's one of those things where it's like, it looks like AI to me. I'm like, that was edited. There's no way that he hit that many home runs.
Yeah, he's a guy that I'm not going to be looking at his homers all year. I want good defense, and I want to see some doubles. I'm not looking for home runs with Durbin.
Yeah, and people got mad at me when the Red Sox traded for Durbin because I was like, what if he just puts up a Christian Arroyo type of season? Plays. Like, Christian Arroyo obviously didn't play. That was kind of the big thing with him. But, Caleb Durbin has like a 3-WAR. It plays at a 3-WAR pace, hits like 12 homers, and is like a 740 OPS guy with good defense at a couple of different infield positions. Are you going to be happy about that? And people were like, Christian Arroyo stunk. I'm like, what? No. Look, Christian Arroyo was good. He just didn't play baseball at a frequent enough level, and I think people forgot because of the whole field experience.
And like, for the most part, I might be off here a bit, but like, wasn't most of his seasons on like not good teams?
Arroyo?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, 2021 was like the one year that he played on a good Red Sox team. But like
if you put Christian Arroyo like on a better roster, you're gonna be less bothered about Christian Arroyo and you'll appreciate him more. But like, when you have a not good roster, specifically a not good lineup, and Christian Arroyo's in there, it's like, we got Christian Arroyo, because everyone else thinks. But when you have like, Durbin Arroyo hitting the lower half of your lineup, it's not a big a deal.
Yeah, I mean, Christian Arroyo in 2021 and 2022 combined for a 749 OPS with 12 home runs and 61 runs batted in. You know who that sounds like? It sounds like Caleb Durbin. It's literally rookie Caleb Durbin.
Yeah.
From a WAR standpoint, obviously Durbin is a much better defender than right fielder Christian Arroyo. But yeah, I don't know. I got flamed for that take. Maybe that was a silly comp because Arroyo will strike out and Durbin doesn't do that. But I don't know. I was just talking about not a lot of home runs, can play decent defense on the infield and have a 750 OPS.
I think the problem with that take is when that take is said right after a trade happens, which we were all disappointed. We all wanted someone better. That's like, I don't want to hear that. Christian, I don't want to hear Christian. I wanted Marte. I think that's the issue. If you say that like from 6 months from now, I was like, oh, valid.
I'm going to be watching that comp very closely this season. Like, when Caleb Durbin finishes the year with like a 750 OPS and like 12 home runs, I'm going to be like, I wonder who said that was something that might happen. I'm going to watch that closely. Now, if he hits 20 home runs, I'll have to eat a shoe, and that's not something I'm looking forward to. But if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I don't know how I'll prepare it. Maybe I'll air fry it.
You might be the first happy person to eat a shoe, man. If you get 20 home runs at a Durbin.
Yeah, if Caleb Durbin hits 20 home runs, I will be very happy to eat a shoe. It'll be disgusting, but it'll be great content. And obviously great for the Red Sox if he somehow muscles 20 home runs out. I don't think I've ever seen him hit a ball with like genuine authority though, so I feel pretty confident in saying he's not going to do that. But we'll see. We'll see. And now, since we're a Boston sports podcast, we can't only talk about positive outcomes. We do have to talk about some negatives. It doesn't have to be about the offense specifically. It can be about the pitching staff. I'm curious who you think is somebody that maybe the Red Sox are counting on to be very productive this season, or maybe somebody the fan base has gotten very high on that you just think is not going to measure up to the expectations or the wishes of either party going forward.
Oh man, that's a good question. I mean, I'm not sure if I have a specific player, as has been said by everyone. I am worried about the offense still a bit. I feel really good about the pitching staff. I'm really curious to see what we get out of Bayo. I feel like he's got a really wide variance of what we could see out of him. Based on a couple years ago in Seattle, he was our game one opener, and now he's pitching game 5 this year. Like that's pretty wild. So I'm curious to see what that does for him. But no, I don't really have my biggest frustration right now is what we've done with Christian Campbell. And yeah, that's my gripe with the Red Sox. And I'm not sure if that's exactly what we're looking for here for a preview, but
no, it can be. It definitely can be. And I think Christian's in a weird position right now. It's crazy how they like really. I don't want to say forced him on the roster because then it sounds like he was just not like a worthwhile player. I mean, we were talking at the end of April of him being like rookie of the year, and that extension being like one of the best contracts in the sport. And then it immediately went south after that. And it seems like he's kind of broken right now. I don't know how they're planning on getting that fixed, and if they're going to just kind of pseudo Rusney him, and he's just going to hang out down in AAA, making a bunch of money despite not really having a pathway back to the majors, which is another reason why the fact they did not handle the outfield situation at all makes it really annoying. For me, the guys, it's really kind of a two-part answer. And these are two guys that I ate crow on one of them, especially last season, but another guy I'm very fond of. I don't think people are fully prepared for like how much I think Carlos Narvaez is going to regress offensively. Now he's going to be one of the best defensive catchers in the sport. That's what he's here to do. He's not going to be counted on to be a legitimate force on offense. He'll pop your 12 to 15 home runs. He's going to play a ton, but I don't think people understand that the hitter he was in the second half last year, I know he was dealing with an injury, is probably closer to the hitter he is than the hitter he was in the first half. And he hit like 290 with like a 115 to 120 WRC plus. That's just not the bat he is. It's not the bat he was in the Yankees organization. That's not the bat he was in spring training last year. His exit velos were pretty good in camp. He had a few that I was like, oh geez, maybe I should change my opinion on that. But I'm not counting on him for offense this season. I feel like a lot of people are already kind of etching him in as like he's a guy who could maybe be an all-star this year. I don't think that's necessarily true. And then
what is a realistic expectation like OPS wise for you for Narvaez?
I'd say somewhere in like the 660 to 680 range. I don't think he's going to be like Austin Hedges. I don't think he's going to be Patrick Bailey. But I just don't think he's going to be like Gabby Moreno offensively. And I know Gabby's kind of a weird player to pick out of nowhere, but like he's a dude who's like constantly in like the 750 and higher range. I don't think that's in Narvi's bag. Now, if he has a year where he's randomly, hitting 18, 20 home runs, he can maybe kind of fugazi his way to like a 700 plus OPS. And I don't think it's like, again, I don't want it to come across as like this guy's going to stink. I just don't think he's going to be like somebody you can really count on to be a massive part of the offense. Like, I mean, if he turns into what Christian Vasquez was for a few years, not quite as bad as it got in like 2021, but if he's like Christian Vasquez in 2019 hit a bunch of home runs, but his OPS or his WRC plus is like 102. I think if he's in like the 90 to 100 range, we're talking about like a 4-win catcher. And I just don't think he needs to be a massive offensive contributor. I don't think it's fair to put that on him, especially because he's going to have to catch like 130 games again because Connor Wong can't play baseball or hasn't been able to play baseball in 2 years.
Yeah, fair enough. I think that's I think I have him a bit higher. But I think the nice part is his defense is so good that if it gives you a 660 OPS year, I mean, that's still an above average catcher.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, he's awesome. And like I don't want it to come off as I think this guy's going to stink. Like, even last year,
that's such a nice way of saying I don't think he's going to turn into Connor Wong.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to be awful. I mean, but his OPS last year was 725, and I feel like that's like the high end of what he's capable of doing. And that's with 15 home runs. He drove in 50 runs, and he had 27 doubles.
Crazy. He had a 725 OPS with that bad of like a second half fish. What a first half, man.
Yeah, he was awesome in the first half last year. I just don't think I think people are kind of selling themselves on a player that he just isn't, and I don't think that's necessarily like it's not indicative of him being a worse player. I just think he's a different kind of valuable than what people think he's going to be. Like I think people think of Carlos Narvaez and like he's this two-way catcher where he's like great. He's going to be a very good offensive player, and he's obviously an elite defender. I think he's more of like I think he's a better defender than he was last year. Like I think he genuinely could be like a top 3 defensive catcher in the sport. I know he was in the running game, but I think he could be an even better presenter of the ball. I know the ABS is in play, but like that's still going to matter to a degree. Like you only get 2 challenges for a reason. Like he's still going to have to manipulate umpires. And I think he can do that at a better clip than he did last year. I think he's a great blocker. I think he could be even better at blocking than he was last season. I just don't think offensively he's going to be able to carry the load as much as he did in the first half last year, having to play 130 games this year. Because again, I don't think
three hole Narvaez was crazy.
Yeah,
that should have been happening.
The fact we had like several weeks last year of like Narvaez and Abraham Toro hitting back to back in the top half of the lineup for a team that made the playoffs is ridiculous. And I guess for that, I'll give Craig Breslow credit. I don't think the lineup's ever going to be that dire this season. Now, if Connor Wong ever hits third, I may have to have words for Alex Cora.
I will join you eat a shoe if Connor Wong's in third, dog.
I'm counting it if he has to come in for an injury and he has to take for that game. I'm adding a caveat to that one. But yeah, and I think secondarily, I can't get behind Ceddanne's offense. He just is so Jekyll and Hyde. His approach is just not conducive to long-term success. And like I said, he could hit 2 home runs, he could hit 30. I'd be equally as unsurprised with either outcome. I think again, that may be the best defensive center fielder in the sport. You can argue maybe PCA. You can argue maybe Denzel Clark. But Ceddanne's at least at no worse than the 3rd best defensive center fielder in the sport. I just don't think offensively people can count on him. He should be hitting 9th in the lineup. Again, similar to what you mentioned with Arroyo. Like if your lineup's good and Ceddanne's hitting 9th, I don't care how he hits. As long as he's not a pitcher, as long as he doesn't hit like a pitcher, I'm straight. We're good. But they're going to have to count on him at least early in the season to be closer to who he was around the All-Star break last year, and I don't know if that's fair to him. And maybe somebody like Duran steps up and he's 2024 Jaron again, and we don't have to worry about how Ceddanne's hitting or how Caleb Durbin's hitting and why he only has 2 home runs and it's the end of July. But we'll see. I
should do an over and under on when we think his first start at second base is.
Durbin?
No, I'm sorry, Rafaela.
Oh, this is more of a Marcelo question.
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna set the over under. Now you're saying start?
Yeah.
At second base? Okay. So I think there's going to be a few games this year where he moves to second and finishes the game there. First start, I'll set the over under at May 20th.
Oh, definitely take him before. So is that under? What would that be?
Under? I think I'll take the over on it. I feel like they're going to try everything in their power to avoid having him actually start a game there because they have Monasterio, they have.
I agree. I just know it's going to happen. I
think we'll get Nate Eaton at third before we get Ceddanne at second in a starting capacity. Now, I think Ceddanne will have like 4 or 5 games where he plays second base up until that point, but I don't think he'll ever start there until we're like towards the end of May, early June. Somebody's got to get hurt. And maybe a second guy's got to get hurt before we see Ceddanne Rafaela start a game at second base. But I think that's actually a pretty decent line. I don't know if it's going to be way before. It's one of those fake ones where you're like hoping that the bettors, the sports book bails you out when he has to play second base on April 17th as a defensive maneuvering by Alex Cora, and they're like, well, he played second. I don't know where they do guys that get hurt and stuff like that. But yeah, I don't know. It's going to happen, and I cannot wait for Twitter's meltdown when the first Ceddanne Rafaela at second base lineup hits. You know what? Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, I think I might join you on the under. Like now that I've been talking about it, I'm like, because you know what? There's going to be that random like Sunday punt lineup from Alex Cora where Yoshida's leading off and DHing. And they're going to need Ceddanne in there defensively. they're gonna need his right-handed bat, and he's gonna play second base. So you know what? I'll take the under, but I still think it'll be close. I think it'll be close to May 20th before we get there.
Oh man.
I want to do another over-under here. I want to put the over-under at 60 games for Masataka Yoshida this year. I just don't know how he's going to play baseball for this Boston Red Sox team.
Yeah. I mean, it's the way he plays more than 60 games is what we just talked about. Would be Rafaela playing second. You know?
Yeah.
Oh man, yeah, it's. I mean like maximum he plays 60 games would be like quite a bit of, you know, like Willier would be off at least once a week, Duran would be off once a week, and then Rafael would be playing like would be off at least once a week, and then maybe playing like the infield like once every 2 weeks. You could maybe find 60 games in there for Yoshida because, like, you know, if you take Abreu out, throw Anthony in right, Duran in left, you know, Yoshida DH, and then if Duran's out for a game. But like if Duran's playing DH most of the time, I don't why is he not playing most games? You know? So
Yeah.
It's hard to find that path.
Yeah, I also just think I think maybe there'll be a ton of pinch hitting for him. He'll pinch hit like 75 times this year.
Yeah, he Cora did mention
games,
like maybe them being like pretty aggressive with the catchers, based off the fact that obviously you got Wong and then IKF and Contreras can both fill in a catcher. So like yeah, maybe that's a thing where like
when was the
once
last
or twice
time IKF caught a baseball game? God, this has to have been like 2020. There's no way he's caught in several years. Did he actually mention Isiah Contreras as somebody who could catch?
No, I don't think so. That might have been added for me.
Okay, yeah, the last time he caught was 2019.
that's when Duran was playing second back then.
Yeah, Jaron hadn't even been drafted yet. I don't think the last time IKF caught a game. Oh my God, was he bad? He caught 586 innings in Major League Baseball. He had negative 15 defensive runs saved and negative 17.9 framing runs and negative 26 fielding run value. Yeah, I don't. If he catches a game, I'll eat both my shoes.
I'll eat my entire closet.
I'm gonna eat so many shoes this year of Caleb Durbin homers 20 times and IKFs catches a game. I do think Contreras catches a game though. He's talked way too much about it for it to not happen, I think, at some point. I don't know how I feel about it. But there's going to be a game where like somebody gets thrown out and it's going to have to happen. Like remember a few years ago when that random like rainy game at Fenway where Reese McGuire got himself thrown out of the game, and I think they had to go to their emergency third catcher because Connor got hurt or Connor got taken out of the game, and it's like who the hell is going to catch? Or they were trailing in extras, and then it was like, well, Reese just got thrown out, so if they tie the game, is Romy catching? Like I don't know, can he do that? He can't this year.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think there's going to be.
Yeah, like an extra inning game where like they're fit, like, you know, they want to be a little aggressive with one of the catchers, and you're like, you know what? If we don't score a run here, we lose the game. Like, you know, throw Willson Contreras in for half an inning. Who cares?
Yeah, I do think that's going to be something they're going to have to do when like if Tristan's hitting at the AAA level, because if they're struggling to score like a lot of people seem to think they're going to, they've got to find a way to add more offense to the lineup. And if that's through the pathway of Tristan Casas coming up playing 2 games a week at first base and Willson Contreras catching a couple times, like it's all 2 birds with one stone or 3 birds with one stone, because it's less of a workload for Narvaez and it's less of a workload for Connor Wong, and it gets Tristan into the lineup. And I think that actually really helps the Red Sox score more runs. Now, Willson,
the question is, do you want to put that wear and tear on? I guess it's not that much wear and tear, but do you want to do that to what is he, 33, 34?
He's 34.
34. Yeah.
And then the second lefty comes in, take Tristan out, and you put Narvaez back behind the dish and Contreras at first base. I think it's something that they can get creative with. The one thing I'm really excited about this year is I think Alex Cora is going to treat this like the 1980s for the National League, and we're going to see some of the most ridiculous defensive swaps of all time. Like there's going to be several games this year where the Red Sox have 0 guys on the bench. Where if anyone gets thrown out or anybody gets injured, we're going to be seeing like Cutter Crawford play left field at some point.
It should. It's not going to be the Red Sox best team, but it should be a really fun team with like Cora, all the swapping they're going to do. You got guys like Durbin and Abreu that are super fun to watch. You get a young superstar budding in Roman Anthony. Like, shit. I mean, I don't know, dude. Obviously, I'm an American, but there was 0 chance after watching Abreu what he did for Venezuela that I could root for America over Venezuela in that World Baseball Championship game, dude. They were so electric, dude. I cannot wait to see him like that. The Red Sox this year.
Yeah, I can't wait to see. I know that Cora was talking about wanting Fenway to be buzzing way more than just on Fridays. That also means they're going to have to win more than just on Fridays. And like they always walked off on Friday. I think that's kind of something that he maybe forgot that was the only time they won on Fridays.
Yeah, I went to a couple of those. It was sick.
Yeah, the Fenway Greens really did have some magic in them. I went to one of the walk-offs in them. I saw 2 walk-off or no. Actually, no, I did go to 2 walk-offs in the Greens because I was at Romans and I was at Narvaez's against the Yankees. And then I saw Tristan's walk-off against the White Sox in the Yellows. That was fun. I remember thinking that was going to be his turnaround, and that was off that did not happen.
It did not. That was off the Green Monster, right? Like pretty high up there. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought you had a walk-off home run. I still have the video of it. I just yelled Tristan like 400 times in the video. Yeah, it'll be a fun group. And I'm with you on it was so weird, like the stoic nature of Team USA versus the like just ridiculous personality of Team Venezuela. It was like, watching like Daniel Palencia crying before throwing the final pitch of the game. I'm like, crazy. And he threw like 102.
I'm like, dude, how am I supposed to not root for these guys who are like crying? And I got like boring Aaron Judge saluting. Like, I'm sorry, dude. Like,
Aaron Judge
went like 4
for
4 with 3 Ks and like did not want any of the clutch smoke. I'm like, 0 chance.
Yeah, you see an Aaron walking out on the field with an American flag, just expect the possible outcome. We've seen that the last few years in sports.
Yeah, insert Aaron Rodgers meme. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, definitely. That was not fun. That was not a fun performance. It was nice to see Bryce Harper had this moment because he was getting smoked in the WBC. But yeah, sucks that it happened. That Whitlock ended up being the GOAT of Team USA that night. But yeah, he had an awesome tournament too. I think he's going to have a monster year as well. I think people really kind of overblew the velocity thing. He'd thrown 3 times in 5 days for the first time in 7 months. Probably not. Probably not going to have the best outing that night.
And we have a closer who knows that he's allowed to like locate his fastball now. Like,
yeah, shout out Connor Wong for that one. Like, I'll give him his flowers. Like, can you imagine the amazement on like I can't imagine the look on like Chapman's face when Connor Wong was like, "Have you tried throwing this in the strike zone?" And then like Chapman's like amazement on his face, then eliciting the greatest reaction out of Connor Wong because he's like, "Oh, you really had never been told that before." Connor's like being an asshole, and he's like, "How about you throw strikes?" And Chapman's like, genuinely like, "Oh my god."
Teaching a Hall of Famer something so simple is so funny, dude.
It worked though. It worked. He was awesome. It's wild. He could regress so much this year and still be elite. Like that was how good he was last year. It sucks. Yeah. It sucks because it was like Chris Martin his second year had like a 2.2 ERA, and I'm like, wow, he's so much worse than he was last year.
Dude, Chapman could fall off a cliff and give us like Kenley Jansen numbers in Boston. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah, he could be atrocious by comparison to last year's version of himself, and it's like still all-star coming out.
Yeah, it was incredible.
He was great. Yeah, I feel good about this team though. Still, I think they're going to win a lot of games, like 4-3. And that's going to be very uncomfortable. Like the lack of hair that I have on my head is going to get even less so over the course of 162 dealing with it. But, if you can get to July and you're like vying, I think there's a stronger argument they're the best team in the AL East than they're the third best team in the AL East. That probably means they'll finish second. But I think that there's a real pathway for them to win the American League East this year. And if you're in July and you're vying for that spot, like, again, I've never seen him do this, but like Craig Breslow, if there's a superstar bat that's available, in July, you can go get that, go get it then. And it's like better late than never. I don't know who it'd be, what position it would be at, but like, I don't know. I kind of got, I saw that there was this post on BetMGM yesterday of like best hitters in baseball in 5 years, and it showed Ellie with the Red Sox logo, and I'm like, I mean, they haven't extended him.
I've already done it. I've already done it on MLB The Show like 6 times, so it's got to happen.
I could totally see it, man. And if like the Padres bought him out, like that's another pathway if they wanted to like finally make that Red Sox Twitter favorite trade of Duran and Abreu for Fernando. That's
kind of our gripe, I think, with the offseason to kind of tie it to it, like, put to a bow. It's like they're that one big punch away from being like, a World Series like on the door, or like there. And it feels like they're set up really well with like this young influx of pitching that's coming in to really make a swing and like try and get one of these young like infielding hitting superstars. It's just a matter of them making it happen. I mean, I don't know if you watched the breakout game, but was it Anthony Ianson?
He looked awesome.
And Phillips were all just throwing gas and like just comparing. Like, I mean, Ianson, dude, what his velocity and stuff was comparatively to LSU last year is nuts.
Yeah, I know. I'm gonna butcher his last name, so I'm gonna look it up so I can try and read it correctly. I don't want to butcher his name because he's great. What's his Lance Brozdowski? He's like the pitching guru that does a lot of stuff for Cubs pre and post. He was like, I did not like Anthony Ianson a whole lot in the draft last year, and his slider is like 4 miles an hour faster than it was in college. Like it was like 82 to 85 in the draft, and he was like sitting 87 in the breakout game with it. And his fastball had jumped in velo, and I think Red Sox stats was like the quartet of Bennett, Valera, Witherspoon, and Ianson is like the next like superstar bat, blockbuster trade package. I could totally see that. And I don't know who it's going to end up being. I don't know if maybe that's a Ketel revisit in July because if the D-backs are terrible, like they've been way too close to trading Ketel so many times that if they're bad, there's no way that he survives the summer with that organization, right? Unless he's hurt. But like, do you trade that kind of stuff for a 34-year-old second baseman? I don't know. But it'll be interesting to see. But I do think, like, it's just a matter of the pitching kind of carrying them through the All-Star break, and then we get to July, and we're looking at the really bad teams, and we're like, okay, does this team really need that star player? And how do they fit in with the Red Sox? And maybe it's not as sexy. Maybe it is finally bringing Geno Suarez to Boston, and it's just something like that. Because I don't think the Reds are going to be very good this year. They put all their eggs in the Kyle Schwarber basket, and they're like, "Oh, it's not him. We're just going to sign Eugenio Suarez in February and call it a winter." But I don't know. I think it's just a matter of surviving the first 95 games of the year with great pitching, and then be like, "All right, let's take some pressure off of them and get somebody that can like hit the ball 700 feet." That'd be pretty sick. I'm gonna be delusional and hold out hope it's Ellie, but I don't think that's gonna happen. Not this year.
Yeah, there's so many guys that like. They could like that's like getting someone who could play second, short, or third. They can make it work. Like whether it's Corey Seager, whether it's Austin Riley having a bounce back year, whether it's Ellie, whether it's even Tatis, you figure it out, move the outfield around, or just that one big bat away.
Yeah, they're not that far away. It's just the one thing that they need is like fairly significant.
Yeah.
It's like we've all identified the problem. It's just a matter of, is that going to be a fatal flaw for them in March, April, May, and June? I think it would be in August and September, and it very much was last year because when Bregman wasn't, Alex Bregman of the first half in September, when you also didn't have Roman or Devers, obviously, you were really hurting for offense, and that's something that they cannot afford to have go unaddressed this season. And I think that's even if Willier has this massive breakout season this year and he's like turns into a superstar alongside Roman Anthony in the outfield, like you still need that bat because I don't think you can trust that Willier can do it for 162. Now, if he does it, awesome. And I don't think he can't do it. I just wouldn't count on it.
Sure.
But we'll see.
Yeah.
All right, shall we preview this first series? See how we do. All right. I did a horrible job of remembering what time these games started, so I had to write it down because I'm a mess. But game one, opening day, again, for those listening, it's today at 4:10. Garrett Crochet on the bump against Andrew Abbott, not Hunter Green. He's out for most of the season after having a procedure done on his elbow. So you got a battle of the lefties. So sorry, guys. Marcelo Meyer will probably not be the opening day second baseman for the Boston Red Sox. Congratulations, IKF, on making preemptively making the opening day lineup. That game starts at 4:10 Eastern time. Game two, after the off day Friday, we got Sonny Gray against Brady Singer. Not Nick Lodolo because he's got a blister, because the Reds pitching staff, as good as it is, as deep as it is, are already getting tested immediately. That game's also at 4:10 on Saturday. And then on game three, Connolly early on the bump against Rhett Lauder. That game is at 1:40 Eastern time. All right, Isiah, how do the Sox do their first series of the 2026 season?
I'm liking a 2 out of 3. Liking a 2 out of 3.
Which one you don't think they got?
I feel confident about Sonny Gray game 2 based on him being last couple of years in the NL Central. We'll lose game 1. Crochet still figuring it out after a not hot spring. Red Sox Twitter melts down after game 1 loss, and then we win game 2 and 3 and back to normal.
All right. Yeah, I think 2 of 3 also. I think sweeping series is very difficult, especially early in the season. I do think they lose game 3 of this one. It's just giving like game 3, like you have a chance to start the season so hot with a sweep, and it's just like ultimate no-show performance. There's my random moment of Wi-Fi issues that happens every episode. But yeah, game 3, Brett Lauder shoves. Connolly early doesn't necessarily have a bad start. It's just not the same caliber of start as Lauder, and you only win 2 out of these 3. So yeah, we both got him going 2-1 the first series of the season. I do actually have one more question for you. Who do you think hits the first home run of the Red Sox 2026 campaign?
Oh, I feel like it's always something you don't expect.
Last year it was Willier. Who was it in 2024? I actually don't remember who their first home run in 2024 was.
You know what? For the bit, I'm going. It's Trevor Story for sure. For sure, Trevor Story.
You don't know how insufferable I'll be if it is, especially if it's opening day. I'm going to take a swing here that it's going to be a ridiculous one. I think it's going to be Andrew Monasterio.
I like that.
He's a guy who has obviously spent the last few years with Milwaukee, so he's got some familiarity with guys like Andrew Abbott and some of these lefty relievers that maybe Cincinnati might go to late in these games. I think he's going to pop one. He had a couple in spring training. He was a guy who was actually pretty surprising. I didn't think he was going to be very good. Milwaukee fans seem to be like, this guy can't actually hit a baseball. I did not get that impression in spring training. He had a pretty good year last year. It'll be very funny, but I do think it'll be Andrew Monasterio hitting the first Red Sox home run in 2026. I don't know when it'll be, but it's going to be him.
Like that.
All right. So we got to an hour. Awesome.
Nice.
I feel like it's always tough to get to that hour mark when it's only 2 people, especially when you have no games to recap, because it's like, who cares about spring training anymore? We got the regular season to talk.
I have never been like less locked in during spring training too. I did not give a shit this year. There was no drama. The WBC was going on.
Yeah, for like 2 weeks, I'm like, I'm not going to watch, whoever the hell hit cleanup for the Red Sox every single day. Like, shout out Nathan Hickey. He had a very good spring. I felt like he had a lot of moments in spring, but like he's probably never going to play for the Boston Red Sox. And and I don't mean to like poo-poo the player, because I know he's been on the doorstep for a bit, but
Yeah, Alan Castro too had a pretty good spring from what I saw.
yeah, and Derek's gonna love that you said that. Derek is gonna absolutely love that. I can feel his ears have perked up, even though he can't hear us. He sensed it in the air that there was an Alan Castro mention. But yeah. Any final thoughts before we wrap this up?
Nothing, dude. Have a great time at the game, dog. That's awesome.
Appreciate
you
it.
going to all three tomorrow, or?
I am going to all three. I'm excited.
Nice.
It'll be fun to get to cross off that ballpark. I've now been to, well, I haven't been to Cincinnati yet. That'll be tomorrow, but I've been to Fenway, Camden, City, Yankee Stadium, Chase Field, Oracle, and I'm missing one. I think that might actually be it. And then Cincinnati's number 7. So I'm excited. Get to knock that ballpark off the list. I'm excited.
Get to witness Andrew Monasterio's first home run in person.
Yeah,
That's sick.
I will say I pre-fired that like 3 weeks ago. Once the Hunter Green news got dropped, I said I was going to witness Andrew Monasterio's first Red Sox home run. So even if he's not the first one, but he homers tomorrow, I'm going to be insufferable about it.
As you should.
All right. That'll do it for this edition of the Pesky Report. Again, episode 551, presented by Beyond the Monster. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at The Pesky Report. Give us or subscribe to us on YouTube, The Pesky Report. Like the video. Follow us. You can follow us on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcast. Leave us a review. Ideally, be 5 stars. It'd be pretty sick. I would absolutely love it if you guys loved us. But if you hate us, feel free to tell us as well, because the only way to get better is to find out how we suck. Just ask professional athletes. They love being told that they're terrible all the time. But, yeah.
specifically Jarren Duran.
Yeah, Duran loves it. Duran loves it when you tell him he sucks. Although I do think he's got a monster year coming down the pipeline. It'll be fun to watch. I know it's unpopular, but I am happy he's still with the Boston Red Sox organization. That's not going to go over well. That was uttered on these airwaves. But yeah, for Isiah, I'm Jordan. Until next time, peace out and go Sox.
Like, this is called the Pesky Report. Like.